Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about what is data encapsulation and data abstraction, what is the advantage, when to use data encapsulation and abstraction, what is the difference between them, along with real-time example. Okay, so let's get started. First one is what is data encapsulation. Let's go with the non-technical example. A capsule is the best example of encapsulation. A capsule is inside the wrapper, and wrapper provides security to the capsule, and wrapper works as a container like class. The technical example for encapsulation is class. Okay, so now what is data encapsulation? The process of wrapping up of data, also called it as variables and methods, as a single unit, is called as encapsulation. Okay, so let's take a note. The process of wrapping up of data, also called as data members or variables, and functions, also called as methods, as a single unit, is called as data encapsulation. We can also call it as class. What is the technical example of encapsulation? The class is the best example of encapsulation. Hope you are clear with the definition. Now let's go with the advantage. Let's see what is the advantage of data encapsulation. Let's go with the non-technical example again. Consider your mobile phone. Okay, now to operate the mobile, you just need to know what buttons are to be pressed to send a message or make a call. What happens when you press a button, how your messages are sent, how your calls are connected, is all abstracted away from the user. Okay, so the advantage of encapsulation is hiding the implementation details of the class. Okay, the advantage of encapsulation is hiding the implementation details of the class. Let's take a note. The advantage of encapsulation is hiding the implementation details of the class. Now the question comes here is how to hide inside the class. By declaring the fields in a class as private and provide access to those fields using public properties or methods. Again, if you see this diagram, by declaring the fields as private means not visible, and provide access to those fields using public properties or methods. Okay, this concept is called as encapsulation. Let's take a note. Encapsulation is the process of making the fields in a class as private and providing access to those fields using public properties or methods. Encapsulation is the process of making the fields in a class as private and providing access to those fields using public properties or methods. Okay, so here I created one class, encapsulated field class. I declared three private variables and three public properties to provide access to those private fields. Okay, also public methods. This concept is called encapsulation. I mean, this is the advantage of encapsulation. Okay, in simple words, encapsulation is hiding unnecessary things from the outside world. Okay, for example, if you see here, we have three methods, one public method, two private methods, and these three are for registering the new user. Okay, so before saving user details to the database, we also validate the user whether user has valid information or not. Okay, so validating user and saving user details to the database, this is our internal logic, and we don't need to expose this logic. Hence, we declare it as private. If we declare it as private, this is not exposed outside the world, okay, so means hiding the implementation details. That is the advantage of encapsulation. Okay, we can also have business logic. Okay, if it is business logic, we'll declare it as private because we will not expose our business logic to the outside world. Okay, so let's take a note. In simple words, encapsulation is hiding unnecessary things from the outside world. For example, declare it as private, declare fields as private, and use properties are methods to provide access to those private fields. Okay, hope you are clear with the advantage. Next, let's take a look at third one. When exactly go with data encapsulation? When to use data encapsulation? If you want to hide the complexity and provide security to the data. If you want to hide the complexity, okay, and provide security, okay, because we don't need all these inner details to operate with the mobile. Okay, so hiding the complexity and provide, why to hide? To provide security to the data. Okay, to achieve this implementation, we can use data encapsulation. Okay, let's take a note. If you want to hide complexity and provide security to data, to achieve this implementation, we can use data encapsulation. What is the practical example? The class is the best example of encapsulation. Okay, to achieve data encapsulation, not only class, we can also use structs. To achieve data encapsulation, classes and structs are used. And class is the practical implementation of data encapsulation. Okay, as discussed earlier. Hope you are clear with the data encapsulation and advantages and when to use data encapsulation. Okay, now let's go with the data abstraction. What is data abstraction? Once you are done with the data abstraction, let's see the difference between them. What is data abstraction? Again, consider your mobile phone. Okay, here we just need on off buttons and the volume buttons to operate with the mobile or to make a call or to send SMS. Okay, we don't need all the inner details, right? So whatever we see, we call it as abstraction. Okay, so abstraction means displaying only relevant information like on off buttons and hiding irrelevant information. Okay, is called it as data abstraction. Let's take a note. Abstraction is the process of displaying only the essential features of an object, for example on off buttons, and hiding irrelevant information. You can also call it as unessential features of an object. Okay, or in simple words, abstraction is used for hiding unwanted data. Abstraction is used for hiding unwanted data and giving relevant data. Hiding unwanted data means encapsulation. Hiding unwanted data means encapsulation, and giving relevant data means abstraction. Okay, so abstraction is used for hiding unwanted data and giving relevant data to make the user job simple. Okay, let me make it further simple. Abstraction is showing necessary things to the world. Abstraction is showing necessary things to the world. Okay, technically how do we expose? Make public. Okay, technically make public, expose to the user. Hiding implementation details, declare it as private. Encapsulation, these two methods, hiding implementation logic, encapsulation, displaying essential features. Okay, abstraction. Hope you are clear with the definition. Let's see what is the advantage. What is the advantage of data abstraction? Now the advantage of data abstraction is reducing the complexity and increasing the efficiency. Means because abstraction is hiding unwanted information. Okay, we don't need to know internal details to operate with the mobile. Okay, that's the advantage, reducing the complexity. okay, and increasing the efficiency to the user by displaying what we need. Okay, so the advantage of abstraction is the advantage of abstraction is reducing complexity to the user and increasing efficiency, because abstraction is hiding unwanted information, that is irrelevant information that we don't need. Okay, that is the main advantage. Third one, when to go with data abstraction in real time, when to use data abstraction. If you want to hide your business logic by declaring it as private methods from the outside world and expose only relevant information. To achieve this implementation, we can use data abstraction. Let's take a note. If you want to hide your business logic from the outside world and expose, if you want to hide your business logic from the outside world and expose the relevant information, okay, to achieve this implementation, we can go with data abstraction. Now to achieve data abstraction, access modifiers are used. Okay, let's see how to use access modifiers. Okay, let me take a note before that. To achieve data abstraction, access modifiers are used, like private, public, internal, product internal. Okay, now what is the practical example of data abstraction? Object is the practical implementation for data abstraction. Why? Because object will expose only required data. It will not expose private variables declared in the class. Okay, for example, encapsulated field class. Okay, this class has 3 private variables, 3 public properties, and 1 public method and 2 private methods. Okay, now let's create the instance of encapsulated field class and see what are all the class members we can access. We have the instance created already here. Now let's say if we say obj dot, it will expose only required data, means it will not expose private variables declared in the class. See, we can only access public properties and public methods. Okay, we cannot access private variables if we say obj dot. That's the reason object is the practical implementation for data abstraction. Because, let's take a note here, because object will expose only required data. It will not expose private variables declared in the class. Object is the practical implementation for data abstraction because object will expose only required data. It will not expose private variables declared in the class. Hope you are clear with both encapsulation and data abstraction. Now let's see the difference between them. Difference between data encapsulation and data abstraction. What's the first difference? Abstraction solves the problem in the design level, that is outer layout. Encapsulation solves the problem in the implementation level, that is inner layout. Abstraction solves the problem in the design level, outer layout. Encapsulation solves the problem in the implementation level, inner layout, hiding implementation details. Second difference, as discussed earlier, class is a practical implementation for data encapsulation. Object is a practical implementation for data abstraction. Third difference, encapsulation is hiding unnecessary things from the outside world. This is also we discussed earlier. Encapsulation is hiding unnecessary things from the outside world. Abstraction is showing necessary things to the world. Abstraction is showing necessary things to the world. Encapsulation is hiding unnecessary things from the outside world. Okay, these are all the differences. Hope you are good with the differences. Now let's go with fifth one, real-time example. Real-time example of abstraction and encapsulation. Okay, if you see here, we have exposed only add user method to the user for registering user, but it has internal logic like validating user, saving user details to the database. Okay, this is internal to us. We don't need to expose these two methods. That's the reason we declare it as private. Hiding implementation details, encapsulation, exposing public methods, data abstraction. Okay, because user doesn't need to know what we are doing with this method. Okay, so we can say we have achieved abstraction here. Okay, let's take predefined example, Microsoft defined example. Okay, this is the console class provided by Microsoft, console dot, and it has write line method. Write line method, this is provided by Microsoft, and they have written a lot of code behind the write line method, but they don't show all the code to the user. Let's see, let's try to see. Let's try go to definition. If you see here, we cannot see any code. They only provide what the user wants. Means they provide only necessary information to the user and hide unnecessary information from the user, because the user doesn't need what code written behind the write line method. That's why they expose only write line method to the outside world. Okay, here we don't see any logic. That's the reason they exposed only write line method. Okay, and what this method does exactly, they provide in comments. Writes the current line terminator to the standard output stream. We can see same thing here. Writes the current line terminator to the standard output stream, but we cannot see any code logic. This is the concept of data abstraction and encapsulation, hiding implementation details but exposing only relevant information. Okay, so this is the concept of data abstraction and encapsulation. I hope this session was very informative. If you have any queries, do let me know in comment section. I'll be happy to assist. Thanks for your time. If you think it helped you, please do subscribe. Have a nice day.